Hi, welcome to Cherie's Weight Loss Journey. I know a lot of people has been wondering, why would we say that men are jealous of women? Why? Okay, this goes back to your Brutus, right? Your Brutus is like your authoritarian, the one that wants to be strong, and the hero. They get a girl, okay? Then you have Wimpy, right? Wimpy is the comedian. Wimpy is the one that Wimpy is the one that will tell people that we'll tell jokes, they'll be at the bar, can they have a drink on the house, right? And they have a way of turning reality, into something funny or maybe something not so funny. Anyway, when Generation X was developing, Generation X was able to tap into very magical things, right? Generation X was doing hip hop and other dances that had allowed them to have magical type of strength and flexibility, and even kind of defy gravity. Well, at least the gravity as we knew it, right? But what had happened is, well, I guess it kind of started with a baby boomer, Richard Pryor, right? Now, Richard Pryor was a very pessimistic, cynical, unattractive male, right? But, because of his boldness and, his shock factor, that people had became, to kind of endear him, because typically, he really wasn't threatening. His words were, but his appearance wasn't. I mean, really. He wasn't that attractive either, but, he could, with his humor to get you to lay down, right? And so there was a lot of people a lot of men, let's not say a lot of people, but there was a lot of men who were like, yeah, that's the way to do it, so there became this big movement in America about sardonic humor, right? Humor that is sarcastic, okay? And let's be real, comedy, it had its birthing ground in clubs, in the bars. And the bar scene always has background activity, of drugs, prostitution, you name it. So when, these comedians would, go to these, alcohol, yeah. When these comedians would, go to these clubs, they had to deal with, the background enterprises, okay? And because they had to deal with the background enterprises, right? Just like in the business world, you have to deal with the investors. Well, the investors, in the land of comedy and music sometimes, happens to be, gangsters, institutional mafias, and so, of course, that being said, right, which is why, you want to tell people, hey, not all money is good money, right? But you have some people who is like, money is money, I ain't gonna get corrupted, right? Until they feel that power, they feel that power behind that money, okay? Then they're like, oh my God, what did I do? I thought I could get in and get out, with the money. And now they're trapped, and now they become a minion to the institutionalized mafia. Okay? So, the point that I'm going to is there was a point when when Eddie Murphy, Eddie Murphy hit the scene, right? Eddie Murphy was not an attractive man. He was not an attractive man. He was bottom heavy, right? And he started eventually going to these clubs. And in these clubs, had, a lot of drinking, drugging, sex, and because he was bottom heavy for a man, they thought, well, yeah, they did. They tried to punk him out. In the process of punking him out, they were telling them, about how these women out here, think they're running things, and we're upset because, they want the chats, right? They want the chats. And so the men kind of conspired through humor, through comedy, through music, that is sponsored by the institutionalized mafia, because they want to make all this money in the background. And, one of the key things that, was, as Eddie Murphy, began to get really popular, and he blew up. He really blew up. But as he was rising, he started interjecting, misogynistic concepts. Like, one that rings really, that me and Metatron had, said is already written in his, Akashic records on his spiritual resume, was the fact that he was saying, that he didn't understand, why a woman feels like she has to get to know the man first. And, well, how long is it going to take you to get to know me? And, and his one ain't going to get no harder than it is right now. And, and have her wait, have him wait for 6 months for her to get to know him. And, he gave the analogy of that's like a man that's starving, getting a cracker, a saltine cracker at that, and saying, oh, that's the best saltine cracker I ever had. Right? So he started doing misogynistic comedy, and it was novel. It was true because, people really didn't have a reason, to talk bad about women up until then. They really didn't. But now, as the misogyny was being spread, through comedy, right? And people were hearing it and absorbing it and laughing at it. Okay? But if you're laughing at something, you can best believe that, you're incorporating it. It has hit a resonation. It has resonated within your being for you to even laugh at it. Okay? So anyway, then we started seeing more and more, misogynistic, humor. They said it was humor, and if you didn't laugh at it, then you didn't have a sense of humor. And I was like, okay, whatever, and like I said, this is kind of like the fall, where Generation X could have moved on to be great, but instead they chose the money, and the money was dirty. Hold on.